Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the show. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. All right, guys, today I'm going to be giving you guys my buy low trade targets. There's a lot of really good ones right now because a lot of players that were consensus first-round picks have busted hard over the past 2 weeks, and now they're actually attainable in the trade market. This is a very good sign. This is going to be one of the most interesting buy low videos that I have ever done because of the ridiculous amount of players that are on my list that were consensus first-round picks, and they've busted in the past 2 weeks. Now they're attainable in the trade market. This is absolutely crazy. So what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be rating every player on my list on an attainability scale of 1 to 10. So, for example, if they're a 9 out of 10 in attainability, you don't have to give up that much to get them. If they're a 1 out of 10 in attainability, you're going to have to give up a lot of firepower off your team to get this player due to mainly because one of these guys that I have on this list, or a few of these guys that I have on this list, were literally taken in the first round of the draft as a consensus first-round pick. So, you might have to give up something to get them, but the beauty is they actually are attainable in the trade market right now, and this might be the only time in the year where that's actually the case. All right, I am going to start right here with the first player on my list, and that is Jamar Chase. Now, this is a guy who is leading the NFL in targets, 35 targets through 3 games. He's had 8 red zone targets. This is third in the NFL. He's run 135 routes. This is third in the NFL. So when you really look at the situation for Jamar Chase, it's actually better than it was last year. I know that he's off to a slow start, but he's running more routes. He's seeing a significantly increased target share from what he saw last year. Last year in the games where he played with T. Higgins actually dominated the overall target share. Granted, the average target depth for T. Higgins wasn't nearly as high, and Jamar Chase was getting targeted more downfield. But Jamar Chase actually was not the main target hog on this team last year. He thrived so much in fantasy football because of the ridiculous amount of big plays that he had. But now he's turned into the clear target hog for the team. He is by far and away a bigger target hog than T. Higgins. This is a very good sign. He's going to be force-fed the ball all season long. He's averaging over 10 targets a game in the first 3 games. This is a guy who we know has tremendous big play ability, immense talent. He could be in the argument for being hands down the most talented wide receiver in the entire NFL. This Bengals offense will turn things around, guys. They've been off to a little bit of a slow start, but it's still going to be one of the most dynamic offenses in the NFL. And Jamar Chase is going to be the benefactor of this. Look for him to bounce back in a huge way. Get this guy on your team while you can. He's actually very attainable in the trade market right now. I've seen ridiculous things in ESPN leagues, like people trading Amari Cooper for Jamar Chase and just insane things like this. This guy is actually very attainable right now. Go get your hands on him while you have the chance. Next player on my list is going to be Jonathan Taylor. This guy has seen 61 carries through 3 games. This is second in the NFL. He is first in red zone touches. This is a very good sign. He is first in red zone touches with 12. He's fourth in rushing yards, and he's run 286 routes, which is also fourth in the NFL. So he's running a ton of routes. He's getting a ton of red zone touches. We know that this is arguably the most talented running back in the entire NFL, capable of giving you tremendous big playability on a week-to-week basis. So the big playability that we know he has, the fact that he's getting peppered with red zone touches, the fact that he's getting targeted a lot, running a lot of routes, this means that he's still going to be just as good as he was last year. Guys, keep in mind that last year, Jonathan Taylor did not get going until week 4. He was a bust in weeks 1, 2, and 3 last year. It's just that we're expecting a lot more from him this year because, well, he's Jonathan Taylor. We saw him be the number 1 running back in all of fantasy football last year, so we come out and expect him to just tear it up right out of the gate. Sometimes it takes these guys a little bit of time to get going, so be patient. Jonathan Taylor's still going to be very good. I have him at a 3.1 out of 10 on my attainability scale. This guy is going to still be pretty hard to get in the trade market, I truly think, but he's actually attainable. So right now, while he might be at the only point in the season where he's actually attainable in the trade market, go get your hands on Jonathan Taylor, but you might have to give up quite a bit to get him. Next player on my list is going to be George Kittle. Now, this guy is an 8.9 out of 10 on the attainability scale. He is very attainable in the trade market. You could get him for next to nothing. This is a very good sign. This is a guy who saw a 97.9% snap share in the 1 game that he played this year. He's on the field almost every play for his team. Now, I'm very aware that a big reason for this is because he's such an incredible blocker, so they always want him on the field to basically be pretty much an offensive lineman, which is basically what he is when he's not catching passes. But the fact of the matter is, if this offense wants to move the ball, force-feeding Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk in this pass game like they were trying to do clearly isn't going to work. They're going to need to get George Kittle involved in the passing game if they want to be a good offense. So look for his target share to increase significantly. I actually like the fact that, Jimmy G is playing quarterback instead of Trey Lance, because I think that's going to increase George Kittle's target share due to the team having a less less of just an overall run percentage, and, them throwing more passes due to Jimmy G just being a drop back pocket passer. So look for George Kittle's target share to increase significantly as the season goes along and as he gets integrated into the offense coming back from his injury. I love George Kittle on the season. He's very attainable on the trade market right now. Go get your hands on him. You don't even have to give up that much to get him. Next player on my list is going to be Justin Jefferson. This guy is going to be incredibly hard to attain. He is a 2.7 out of 10 on the attainability scale, but we're looking at a guy who, he's seen some pretty disappointing numbers in the early season. I really am just disappointed in Justin Jefferson now. I still think he's going to be awesome from a season-long standpoint, but we're looking at a guy who has only had 2 deep targets. This is 48th in the NFL. His average depth of target is only 7.8 yards per target. This is 72nd in the NFL, and he's only seeing a 1.72 target separation. This is 52nd in the NFL. He really is not looking that good. He had a great week 1. He's been absolutely locked down in weeks 2 and 3. Now, granted, he had some pretty tough defensive matchups. Darius Slay absolutely just tore him up in week 2. He was absolutely worthless this past week. So, I think that he's actually attainable in the trade market. Now, Justin Jefferson is a very big name in fantasy football, so it's still going to be very hard to get this guy on your roster. And, you might not even want to, considering how terrible he's looked over the past 2 weeks. And, when you look at the numbers, he just really isn't dominating in the way that he should be. But this is a guy who is going to see almost 10 targets per game from a season-long standpoint. Last season, he had 167 targets through 17 games. This is a guy who is a massive target hog. The deep ball efficiency and the deep ball attempts that are actually thrown his way are going to increase as the season goes along. The offense just really wasn't good as a whole over the past 2 weeks. So look for the deep balls to increase for Justin Jefferson and the overall fantasy points per game to increase significantly. I still think this is going to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. So if there is somebody in your league who is willing to give up Justin Jefferson, go after him. Even if you have to give up a lot to get him, I think it's worth it. If you can get this guy on your roster in any way, shape, or form possible, do it. He's going to be a league-winning player still. Next player on my list is going to be Rashad Bateman. Now, this is a guy who has a 2.56 target separation, 2.56 yards per target as far as his target separation. This is top 10 in the NFL. This is very impressive. This dude is incredibly good at getting open. He creates awesome cushion. This gives Lamar Jackson open windows to feed him the ball. This is very good. His average depth of target is 16.3. This leads all receivers in the NFL. Yards after the catch, 119. This is 3rd in the NFL. So not only is he getting wide open, not only is he getting targeted downfield a lot, he's running after the catch. Now, I'm aware that a lot of that came on one touchdown catch that he had 2 weeks ago on that 75-yard touchdown catch. But the fact of the matter is, this dude is a lot quicker and faster than everybody thought he was coming into the league. This gives him way big playability than we thought he did. And we now know that he's clearly playing on what's going to be one of the best offenses in the entire NFL. This is going to give him awesome touchdown scoring upside. So everything is going for Rashad Bateman. This guy is very attainable in the trade market. I have him as a 7.1 out of 10 on the attainability scale. So you really don't have to give up all that much to get him, and he could potentially be a league-winning player for you. I love Rashad Bateman on a season-long standpoint. Don't put too much merit into this last game. He is the clear number 1 wide receiver on one of the highest-scoring offenses in the NFL, and he is a dynamic athletic weapon. Get this guy on your fantasy team. Next player on my list is going to be Kareem Hunt. Now, Kareem Hunt is tied with Jonathan Taylor for most red zone touches at the running back position in the NFL. This is incredibly impressive for a backup running back. A backup running back literally leads the league, tied with Jonathan Taylor, for most red zone touches through 3 games in the early fantasy season. This is incredibly impressive. The fact that this dude has only scored 2 touchdowns through 3 games is actually a fluke. With this ridiculous amount of red zone touches that he's seeing, it is very, very possible for him to average a touchdown a game this season. That is mind-blowing for a backup running back, but it is very much the case considering how often this guy touches the ball in the red zone. This guy has more red zone touches by far than the running back Nick Chubb that's running in front of him. And the only reason that Nick Chubb had the touchdown in this backfield in the past week is because Kareem Hunt carried the ball twice on a goal-to-go opportunity with less than 3 yards to go to the goal line. They were within the 3-yard line. Kareem Hunt carried the ball on second down. He carried the ball on third down and was not able to get into the end zone. This is very rare. 90% of the time in that situation, he's actually going to convert and score a touchdown. But Nick Chubb ended up coming in on 4th and inches and pounding the ball into the end zone. But they were trying to force Kareem Hunt into the end zone like they always do. This dude is one of the biggest end zone magnets in the entire NFL. The fact that he is leading the league in red zone touches, tied with Jonathan Taylor, is amazing to me, considering the fact that he's a backup running back. This guy has tremendously high touchdown scoring upside. He has great big play ability. The targets are going to increase steadily as the season goes along, especially when the Browns are playing from behind. Keep in mind that the Browns have been playing with the lead most of the season, so that's why the overall amount of targets that have been thrown to Kareem Hunt is down. But when they're playing from behind in games, he's going to see a significantly increased target share, so he's going to be a PPR monster as well. I love Kareem Hunt on the season. I have him as a 7.3 out of 10 on my attainability scale. He is very attainable right now. Go get this guy in your fantasy team. Last and final player on my list is going to be Kyler Murray. This guy is leading an offense that is second in the NFL in pace of play. He's thrown 141 pass attempts. This is second in the NFL. He is he's only thrown 3 passing touchdowns, which is 19th. This is incredibly fluky. That's a big reason why his overall numbers are down. Look for the touchdown numbers to go up for Kyler Murray. He is second in deep ball accuracy. This is the most impressive thing to me for Kyler Murray. This is a guy who led the league in deep ball accuracy last year. In the young season, he's second in the league in deep ball accuracy. This guy is one of the ultimate dual-threat quarterbacks. We're talking about a guy that presents you almost Lamar Jackson-like rushing upside and has pretty much led the NFL by a long shot over the past year and change in deep ball accuracy. This dude is an incredible deep ball thrower. I would argue that he's a better deep ball thrower than Russell Wilson. I'm serious. And we're talking about Russell Wilson being one of the best deep ball throwers we've ever seen. Kyler Murray is such an incredible deep ball thrower. It just blows my mind. And on top of that, he presents you tremendous rushing upside. He hasn't had a game this year where he's had more than 30 rushing yards, and he's still putting up pretty decent fantasy numbers. And combine that with the fact that he's not throwing that many touchdowns so far. So we know that the touchdown numbers are going to go up. We know that due to his incredible speed and quickness, the rushing numbers are going to go up significantly, and he will have games this year where he rushes the ball for over 100 yards and gives you a week-winning performance. This guy is right up there with Josh Allen and just being like one of the most elite dual-threat quarterbacks we've ever seen in fantasy football. He's got a 73.8% true completion percentage, so he's completing his passes at a very high clip as well. Just know that the touchdown numbers are going to go up and the rushing numbers are going to go up for Kyler Murray. He's one of the best buy lows right now in all of fantasy football, and he's definitely the best buy low at the quarterback position. I have him at a 6.1 out of 10 on the attainability scale. You really don't have to give up that much to get him right now, and you can get Kyler Murray on your team at an extreme discount, and he's going to be a league-winning player. All right, guys, I appreciate you tuning into the video, and I will catch you later.